towards a problem, or they're headed towards wellness. And so essentially the nurse calls the doctor when they believe there's a problem. And so if the nurse is calling the doctor when they believe there's a problem, it's the nurse that's recognizing the problem. So you want the best people recognizing the problem, and so obviously you want the nurse. And so when a lot of people ask, well, what's nursing about? It's become, it was technical when I entered, and it was technical when it started, because a lot of people don't, more people are recognizing that Florence Nightingale really was the scientist that identified sterility and the benefit of the issues of sterility. Though other people have walked away with what was considered the scientific kudos. But if it hadn't been for that science, we still might be dealing with even a worse problem than what we have with bacteria and infections. I know in the prison system we deal with a lot of issues of infection because, and it's really a community issue, and that's one of the things that we're so cautious about in surveillance of the prison population, is because the prison population is sort of they're a microcosm that can explode bacterially and create problems throughout our society. And it's not that they're prisoners, it's that they're homeless, it's that they're living on the streets, it's that they're dealing with alcoholism, they're dealing with drug addictions, and those populations are more prone to hepatitis A, B, C, D, E. They're more prone to staph infections because they have poor nutrition. They're more prone to MSRA. They're more prone to all those bacterial infections. And that's where it sort of bubbles in our society. And so it would be to the benefit of society to actually provide them with the best immunizations, and it would provide a greater protection for society. But yet we nickel and dime that health care, and it's like lighting the fuse on a stick of dynamite, and hoping that everything works out okay.
Yes, and I think one thing that nursing has done is this. Nursing has encouraged nurses, beginning nurses, as I did, the associate degree nurse, to go back and get their bachelor's of science degree. And I think that has been very helpful to me to do that sort of thing. But nursing, I have heard so many say that once they became a nurse, they were able to attract others in nursing. And it has given me pleasure to see that in nursing over the years, we have attracted male nurses. And this is not looked down on as someone being strange attracted to nursing. So I'm glad to see that as a nurse, you as a person, as a male, you decided to go into nursing because we need more of that.
Well, that's one of the things I had mentioned, that we were both the faces of nursing and nursing future, and you were saying that the dichotomy was I'm in mid-career towards getting later on, and you were just completing your career in a sense. My mother would disagree. Anybody who knows my mom, she would say no, she's a nurse, and that would be it. She went to St. Elizabeth's.
Oh, okay.
Carried the candle, and so she was a strong believer that nurses are nurses, all the way through. And she was an OR nurse. She scrubbed in the OR. And when she was a nursing student, she also went down to Johns Hopkins.
Okay.
And she got to scrub in as a student with Dabaki, which is her big, don't tell Peg. She, you know what I'm saying? And they've got a picture of her, they took a picture. And it was really interesting because then the ORs were all on the top floors, you know what I'm saying? And now they're
yes.
all, you know, buried in the basement, some of them, because they found that it was more sterile down there. But, you know, it's just interesting, the whole progression of nursing and how many different roles there are in nursing.
Yes.
I mean, I think for both of us, in a sense, when we entered, there was just really the nurse.
Yes.
There weren't the other additional roles. I know when I entered to become a nurse practitioner, there was 3 roles. You could become a PD nurse practitioner, women's health, 4, women's health, adult, and family. And now I think there's like 15 of them.
Yes.
And so the sort of the prospect of a broad horizon for a professional career entering nursing is so much greater than it ever was before. And then when I entered nursing and had gotten my couple years in, sort of the horizon expanded. I could go into the ICUs or the ER. You could begin to consider becoming a dialysis nurse if you wanted to. You could go into the OR. There were many opportunities that way, but those have become sort of pathways to some of the more advanced technical areas of nursing. And you entered a more technical area of nursing. You became an administrator.
Yes.
And that's a very technical area of nursing because, you know, you really have to have a sort of the criticism of nurses against nursing administration was they don't know what we do.
I may have heard that, but beyond that, I've had nurses come to say, I am so glad that I have an administrator who is a nurse because they know what we can do, and also they know what the needs of the patients are, and that it's been helpful. And they asked us to advocate for them, to let it be known to other administrators what nursing can do and has done, and to also encourage them to allow them to move up in terms of the facility, in terms of the hospital or programs. So now we have, besides nursing working directly in the hospital, we have nurses in the community, working in the community, and it's just been a joy over the years that I've seen changes made within nursing.
Oh, some of the challenges have expanded because of the diversity of the population.
Yes.
I'm sure when you look at the veteran population, it's a very diverse population.
Yes.
Where it used to be sort of, bilateral, white or black.
Yes.
And now it's white, black, Asian.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there's so many different diversities, and those cultures are different, so things mean different things to them. I know we have a lot of issues, cultural diversity within the corrections facility. You know, people think, oh, corrections is all, you know, about one color or one race. It's not.
No,
I can tell you, you know, when I see, you know, the inmates and, you know, there's quite a population, and it's a small population compared to some correctional facilities. I was watching a TV program, and they have correctional facilities with 4,000 and 5,000 inmates. I'm thinking, oh my word!
Yes.
I know what the problems are with, you know, 1,000 inmates. It's you know, mind-boggling there. But to have 4,000 or 5,000 inmates and all the different health concerns, because the age range for in Massachusetts is 17 to, you know, however old you can get. So now you have an inmate that's 70 and all those sort of diverse health problems. And for the correctional nurses, they're dealing with 17 to the 100-year-old. You know, so you have
100 years old.
Well, I don't know how old the oldest inmate is, but I think probably in his 80s right now. And so you have to deal with all those, you know, those issues. And I know in one of the state's facilities, they have a sort of a nursing home unit, but they have guys that were in motorcycle injuries. They're 20s. And they have to have them there because they can't be out in the general population because they have self-catheterization. I mean, we have self-catheterization, we have diabetics, we have heart disease, we have cholesterol, high cholesterol, we have every disease you can think of. It's all in a prison, and it's more intense in a prison because they had poor health care to begin with. I mean, you have the sort of the value that the veterans had, through the military, had good health systems.
Yes.
Ours, they come right from the street, and they just finished a fifth of Jack Daniels, or they call them handles.
Oh, okay.
A handle of Jack Daniels, and they've been doing that every day for a year. And they finally just got caught, and now all of a sudden they're coming to their hospital in a sense for their health care, and it's like, where do you start?
Yeah, now I just want to say that I think that when nursing decided to educate and train nurses to become a nurse practitioner or an advanced practice nurse, I think that was one of the best things that was done. And I just want to congratulate you on making that.
Well, you have the history of nursing in St. Louis
Yeah.
with the visiting nurses,
Yes.
and then you ended up in community.
Yes. Yes. Ended up leaving St. Louis, coming
Right.
to this area. Yes.
And
yes.
then in sort of the epitome of your career, you ended up doing what St. Louis is famous for in the sense of nursing.
Thank you.
So what would you say to new nurses or people thinking about nursing?
I would say that nursing is a good profession that one could enter and should enter, and that before a final decision is made, have an opportunity to talk to a nurse so you can find out some of the strength of nursing, as well as some of the issues that will need to be dealt with as you enter a profession, particularly if there are goals to move up. But I just want to say that nursing has been wonderful for me, and I'll give you the example of retiring within a month. Already, I'm over at my town trying to decide and sign up to be a volunteer to give flu injections.
Good.
Yes, and so it's a good profession and one that I would recommend.
Well, congratulations, and thank you very much for appearing on the show. And see, it wasn't as bad as you thought. And I hope you'll come again. I really do. I don't even think we scratched the surface.
Okay.
I really do. And bring your guests.
And thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
It's been wonderful. Thank you, everybody. See you later.